Hi everyone, welcome to Right to Top. I'm Adam. In today's video, I want to talk to you about vocabulary. More specifically, I want to talk about a few words that are often confused, meaning that although they are similar or even synonyms to each other, their usage is very different from one another, and it's in the usage that people often make mistakes. So the words I'm looking at specifically are grow or grow up, rise and raise. So people mix these ones up all the time. Percent and percentage. This is especially for IELTS people who are doing the task 1. And constitute, comprise, and compose. These ones are always mixed up. Even native speakers mix up these this last batch, the constitute, comprise, and compose. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to work on the definitions. I'm going to show you what each of them means and how to use them. And then I'm going to give you sample sentences so you see them in action. Basically, you see how they're used, okay? Let's get started with definitions. Now, grow up is very limited in its use, okay? Basically, we're talking about children. Children grow up. They develop, they get older, they mature, okay? We can also use grow up as a noun. We say grown up with an N after the grow, so now it's a noun. A grown up basically means an adult. Grown ups, adults in the plural. Okay. Now, grow is a verb, only a verb. We use it to talk about living things, but usually we refer to plants. We grow plants in our garden, on a farm, whatever you want to do. It means we help it get bigger, stronger, more developed, etc. We can also grow things. Now, things basically are non-living things. We can help them get bigger. We can increase them in size. We can help increase them in quantity, like how many, how much. We can help something develop, like more of an abstract noun. We're going to see an example in a moment. And we can cause something to grow. We can help something grow. So something can grow. We can make something grow. Okay, we're going to see the examples for these. Rise. Rise can be a noun or a verb. As a noun, it means to increase. But the key here is the word independently. So something goes up, it does it independently. There is nothing pushing it up. There is no agent, there is no outside force making this thing rise. When we have the outside force, then we're going to use raise, which I'll get to in a moment. Okay? Or rise also just means if you're talking about something physically, it goes up, gets higher, physically higher. As a noun, it's basically the act or the situation of going up. All of this will be much clearer when we see the examples again. Raise. So raise is very similar to rise. But whereas the sun rises, nobody is pushing it up. Although, I mean, physically it doesn't actually move, but it looks like it's going up. Nothing is pushing it up. Raise, you have an outside force acting on something. So something raises something. Now, when we talk about people, we can use, it's very similar to grow. So we raise children, we raise animals. We don't really raise plants, although technically you could use it for plants as well. A farmer raises corn, for example. But we usually use raise for animals and people. We use grow for plants. So adults or parents raise their child. Okay, we don't necessarily say they grow their child. The child grows up. So that's the main difference between those two. And we can also breed. To breed means to raise living things like animals or like dogs or cats or whatever. We want a specific type of dog, we breed that specific type. As a noun, it is most commonly used as an increase in wages. At your work, your boss gives you a promotion, he gives you a raise, means you're getting paid more. Let's look at some examples of these sentences. Grow. Children who grow up in big cities often have trouble connecting to nature. So they grow up means that's where they develop, that's where they learn, that's where they mature into adults. If they do it in the city, when they go to the countryside, you know, they're not so connected to the trees, to the land, to whatever. Maybe they get afraid of animals. The hybrid plant, a hybrid means you took two plants, you mixed the seeds, and you created a new third plant. The hybrid plant grew to unprecedented height. It became very high, like no other plant before it. So this is physically getting bigger and stronger and higher, obviously. Social media's influence on business strategies has grown over the past decade. So what has grown? Influence. Influence has become wider, okay? The quantity, the quality has become greater. It has grown. It has become more influential. Our friendship grew over time. Our friendship is an abstract thing. So we became better and better friends. We more in touch. We help each other with different things. So the bond, the connection we have grew in strength, grew in quality. Okay, means it became stronger, developed. Alan grows basil in his balcony garden. Basil is that herb, a green plant you put on pizza or whatever. Some people say basil, also okay, no problem. Alan grows basil. What does that mean? He gives it water. He makes sure it has enough sunshine. Maybe he turns the soil over once in a while to get air in there. So he helps it to grow. Now let's look at rise. Prices of produce are expected to rise following the drought. So now prices rise by themselves. There are, of course, causes. There are conditions to it. If there was a drought, it means there's not enough rain, means not enough vegetables grew, produce, fruits and vegetables, not enough grew. The rules of supply and demand of market economics means that the prices will rise or rose. Nobody is pushing them up except the market. But if you want to say specifically that somebody took action and made the price more expensive, for example, farmers raise prices. So if somebody is doing the lifting or the increase, raise. If it's happening naturally, rise. The sun rises in the east. We already mentioned that. When stock markets see sharp declines, so the stock market goes down, some stocks, like gold, rise as investors look for a safe haven. So the stock market crashes, everybody buys gold stocks, the stock rises. So people aren't raising the price. The price rises naturally because of the market situation. As a noun, now we're talking the situation, talking about the situation. A steep rise in inflation will make most people's savings meaningless in the next few years. A steep rise, a steep increase. Increase is a synonym to rise. Many economists worry that an increase in the minimum wage will lead to a rise in unemployment. Now, I could say that an increase in the minimum wage will lead to an increase in unemployment, but in writing, you don't want to use the same word twice in a paragraph. You definitely don't want to use it twice in one sentence. So rise and increase, synonyms. A rise, an increase in unemployment. Jill's rise through the ranks of the company was quicker than anyone could have foreseen. Rise through the ranks means she gets higher and higher and higher positions. Okay? The ranks means the positions basically in the company. So her rise, her promotions were quicker than anybody expected. Of course, somebody is raising her, somebody is giving her a promotion, but her overall move up, her overall rise happens kind of naturally as a result of her hard work. Okay? Lastly, let's look at raise as a verb. The university raised its minimum GPA requirements in an effort to weed out the less serious applicants. So a university says you need a minimum 3.0 GPA, grade point average, to get into this university. But too many people are getting 3.0s, so now the university wants to be a little bit more elite, a little bit harder to get into. So they increased the GPA. They made it higher. Somebody intentionally raised it. The soldiers raise the flag every morning. So the soldiers, they come to take the flag, they pin it to the rope, and they lift, and the flag rises. They raise the flag. Farmer Phil, he's a farmer, his name's Phil, raises cattle, cows, sheep, etc. But he's thinking of moving to another farm to raise or grow corn. Corn, raise, grow. Cattle, raise. You don't really grow cattle. You can breed cattle if you want. If the economy continues to improve, the government will likely raise interest rates. They will increase. They will make the interest rates go up intentionally. Noun. As a reward for all his hard work, Kyle's boss gave Kyle a raise of $2 per hour. So before, Kyle was making $10 per hour. He's a hard worker. His boss appreciates his work. He gives him a raise. Kyle's boss raised his wage by $2. He gave him a raise of $2. Good. Let's move on to the next pair. Okay, so now we're looking at percent and percentage. Now, these are basically the same thing, but different usage. And that's where we're looking at here, the different usage. First thing to remember about percent, it's an adverb. It's always associated with a number. You will never see the word percent or the symbol percent without a number attached to it. We're always talking about a measure. a proportion of a whole. As a noun, you can use percent, but only to talk about 1%. So 1% of the population believes something, okay? Here's an example. 20% of the staff will be let go. So there's 100 staff, 20 people will be fired. Okay, 1/5, 20%, same thing. As a noun, the economy is expected to shrink by 0.5%. That's 0.5% next quarter, okay? So that's percent. Percentage is a noun. Do not attach a number to this word percentage. It's a rate. It's a proportion of a whole, a part of a whole. So it's only the part, so we don't attach a number to it. A significant percentage of the population, how much? I don't know, but it's significant. It means it's a good number. It makes a difference. Will be affected by the new legislation. So let's look at the last example where I used both of them in one sentence. Although only 7% of the population lives in poverty, so 7%, you can get an actual number from that percentage. This represents a rather worrisome percentage when you consider that in terms of people, this is equivalent to over 4 million poor in our country. So we're talking about the group percentage. We're talking about 7%, the actual number, the actual individuals. That's the difference between percent and percentage. So let's go to the last one. So now we have constitute, comprise, and compose. Now this one gives people a lot of trouble. Even native speakers have a problem with it. What you have to remember is that the direction. Yes, these are synonyms, but the direction of the sentence, the direction of the parts and the whole are very important for each word. So for example, constitute, it means to make up or form something. So the parts constitute the whole. You have all the different parts. Together, they constitute the whole. Comprise means contain or include. So it's the other direction. The whole comprises all the different parts. Okay? And compose and composed of. We're going to look at both of them. Compose is similar to constitute, means to make up or to add up to. If you think about music, you have all your musical notes, you compose them together and you have a piece of music. So the parts compose the whole. But we can use compose in a passive form and turn it around. The whole is composed of its parts. The parts compose the whole. The whole is composed of the parts. Okay, just remember the order, passive and active. Okay, so let's look at the classic examples that's always given to explain this. 50 states constitute the United States of America. There are 50 individual states. Together, they constitute the United States of America. The United States of America comprises 50 states. 50 states compose the United States of America. The United States of America is composed of 50 states. Now, some people, and it's becoming more and more common and therefore more and more acceptable to use comprised of. If you ask grammar purists, they say it's incorrect because comprise means include, so you can't really use it as a passive, but the United States of America is comprised of 50 states. Technically, not correct, but if you use it, that's fine. If you're ever not sure, comprised of, composed of, whatever, use made up of. It's the same meaning, different word entirely, but the idea will get through. Okay, so here's an example. The survey comprises 5 categories. So the whole survey has 5 categories in it. Okay, 5 different categories. 10 questions constitute each category. So 10 questions put together, 1 full category. Okay, 5 categories constitute the survey. The survey comprises, again, make sure you understand the order. They are all synonyms. The order is different. Okay, good. So I hope that was helpful for you and it will help your writing, both task 1 and task 2, IELTS especially task 1, but both TOEFL, IELTS, any English test that has an essay in it. If you have any questions, please ask me below here at YouTube. You can also ask me at my Facebook page or my Twitter page or my Instagram page, anywhere you like. You can visit my website, righttotop.com. You could get a lot more information there as well. And if you liked my video, please subscribe to my channel. I will bring you lots of videos like this, vocabulary, grammar, writing, etc. And I hope you liked it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.